So hi there, Carrie here. Haven't been here for a while. Thought I better check in. I'm getting ready to do a depo this morning. I've had a slew of witnesses that have not shown up. I don't know if it's just me and the universe saying, "Hey, work on your best-selling novel. Do something else because you're not going to get a whole lot of sales this week." It's been kind of weird. Anyway, popping in here to ask a couple of pointed questions because I'm changing a lot of, I'm not going to change what's happening in the magic group because that's kind of our solid rock. And then I do have an entry level group where I am trying to share some basic ideas about how your mind works, how you're learning theory, and how to transition into speed building. And then I have a Are You Ready to Be a CSR, kind of a generic term that covers everything, to help with some advanced limiting belief techniques, things that will help you actually pass those higher level tests. And it's not practice, surprisingly enough, regardless of what the schools tell you. Ouch. So, got those two avenues to give you guys direct information, but I am going to be changing up the way I do things. I just realized that in the last 3 weeks, I have spent in excess of 35 hours doing one-on-one calls with students. And although that stuff really, really helps, and I know it is the thing that does that last push, I just can't continue doing that the way I've been doing it going forward. So we're going to be revamping a few things. I will always be available for one-on-one help. For anybody who's, I consider my founding members, anybody who's been here, or anybody who's, on a sliding scale and needs some help. But I'm going to start offering some group sessions, some group programs. I'm trying to work up a kind of do-it-yourself program so that you're not, tethered to something with a lot of other people, because we are court reporters. We are used to that isolative environment. We're good self-starters usually. Once we get past the motivation and can I do this phase, we are do-it-yourself, period. Then there's so many of us out there who did it themselves with no school, no tests, just here's a machine, here's a theory book, can I get faster, better tomorrow? It's kind of amazing. To me, those are the people that are inspiring, the ones that have such dogged determination and discipline to be able to show up every day, not having a benchmark of am I getting better? Instead of, that amorphous period of time when you're in school asking, why is this not working? Why am I not getting better? Because frankly, you just don't have anything in front of your face as evidence that you are. And so, that's running on faith. Faith is believing in the thing that you have no evidence of in the moment. And I don't know what percentage that takes up of our steno learning lives, but it's got to be a significant chunk. Believing in the thing you have no evidence of. And that being beat down a billion times with fails because the schools don't bother to tell you, for fear of losing students, that you will fail so many more tests than you will ever pass. Which sounds terrible, but then again, the flip side is there are only, a finite number of tests that you will pass, and then you'll be done. And everything about this profession really hinges on how do you look at it. Hi, Bryn. How there? How do you perceive it? What does it mean to your mind? That is what's going to make the difference. That is the difference between students who just keep doing what they know they need to do, regardless of the evidence in front of them. And those that show up, and that was me, those that show up, work really hard for a while, get into the next speed, and then start sabotaging yourself all over again with, well, this is really hard. I can't do this. I'm doing all the work and I'm not getting any of the benefits. You know, why am I not passing tests? And being so utterly impatient with the process of what's happening. And we are impatient people. I mean, that's why we think it, you know, 230, 40, 50 words a minute consistently, and we're always on the lookout. We're very hyper vigilant. Makes us great reporters because we can anticipate who's going to be objecting next, who's getting their little lips are ready to, you know, to start talking again, and we're on top of it. Speaker identification stuff. So anyway, I am going to be changing the way the way I do things, not the way you do things, and I will still keep putting in everything I can in this group. So in the meantime, if you guys want to give me some feedback as you come across this video, what is your #1 thing that you think is holding you back? Is it because you drop? Is it your inability to drop easily, quickly, and recover? Is it the chatter in your head? Is it a lack of motivation? Is it you just not believing this is possible for you? What is it that you think is holding you back? And you can private message me if you feel embarrassed, like, you know, there's something you could come up with that the other, you know, thousands and thousands and thousands of reporters who've, you know, gotten out there and are working, you know, those, all of those. I love it, Veronica. Yeah, I know. That was me too. Ability to jump back in and drop quick. Yeah, Bryn, that one sucks. That was me. I always felt like, I don't know if you've heard this analogy, but I'd freak out because I would tell my brain, oh my God, if I drop, that's a bad thing. And so now it's on the alert for when you drop, and it's ready because that's a bad thing, and it's looking out for problems and threats. So you've got to learn that it doesn't matter. If you drop a word, it doesn't matter. If you drop 2 words, 3 words, 4 words, it doesn't matter. You have a lot of words you could drop if the rest of your writing is clean, and it's not about the speed, because you start off strong, you finish strong once you realize you think you've failed, but it's that chunk in the middle, and it has nothing to do with speed. It has to do with our perception of, if I drop something, I'm bad, I've failed, I've dropped the ball, I can't do this thing. And so to be able to drop fast, and I think the way Stephanie Hicks talks about it, and I love that little video, you know, drop, and I drop. Drop fast, drop clean, and recover quickly. What I had to do was tell my brain, okay, new rule. It's not if I drop, but when I drop. And then your brain says, oh my God, now she's planning to drop. I'm not planning to drop, but it's not a big deal. If I drop, it's because I decide I'm feeling that getting behind feeling, and I'm going to drop and come right back in on the very next clean word that I hear. Because your hearing kind of goes wonky the minute that you have that feeling of anxiety that, oh my God, something bad's happening. And so you are going to perhaps have trouble jumping back in. And so tell yourself, when I drop, this is what happens. First of all, it's not a big deal. It's 1, 2, 3, and don't make up anything. Don't try to make that make sense. You have dropped cleanly. You are going to transcribe cleanly. And I can't remember who it was I was talking to, but we had decided that if the schools and the certification bodies are so stupid that they're going to let us drop words and those only count for 1, then we're going to use that as a technique to get the hell out. And then we'll do however we need to do in the real world. But the schools are playing, and the tests are playing games with us all the time. So let's use their own rules against them to get the win that we want. Drop, clean, drop fast. Use it as a moment to take a deep breath, to reboot, reset, and jump right back in on the very next clean word that you hear. Brooke, I love these questions. Change of lifestyle, wondering if I can really do this once I graduate. Um, if somebody handed you a whole lot more money than whatever money you're getting right now in your lifestyle, could you handle that? Some people come from a culture, a socioeconomic background where there's a culture in the family that money's not good, that having a different lifestyle is not good. I've literally worked with people who, when I've gotten them relaxed enough in hypnosis to where I'm not talking to their conscious brain that's telling me all the logical reasons why they can't get out of school, there's magic that happens when I'm able to talk to the real part of you that knows what's scared and ask, is there a reason? Is there a logical or illogical reason for you not to pass the next tests and get out of school and be making money? And all of a sudden, somebody says Thanksgiving. And I'm like, okay, what happens on Thanksgiving? Well, usually I show up and I'm the one that's not out of school yet. And my brothers and sisters all have their success stories to share around the table. And if I show up with a new life and a new bank account and a new car and new wonderful everything going on for me, that's just not going to fit. I can't do that, because that would change the dynamics of the family. Well, what if? So you're supposed to be small so they can feel important and big, just because that's always been the dynamics in the family, and that's kind of sad. But what if you not standing in your new glory and accomplishment, what if that's actually what they need to see? What if that's their journey, to see somebody else in the family pick it up and do amazing things and not be bothered by what somebody else thinks about it? Weird stuff out there, but it is what invisibly holds us back sometimes. I can't do that because I've never seen that in my family. I've seen other people do it, so it's available for other people, but not for me. Brooke, start imagining. Use that 5 minutes in the day to imagine not all the bad things that can happen if your lifestyle changes, but imagine you 6 months out from working. A year has gone by and you've been out working and you've got this established amount of money that you used to coming in every couple of weeks. And I remember in my first year, it was like, good grief, that amount, which was amazing to me. I worked hard for it, but I'd never made that kind of money before. The biggest problem actually is, if you're not in an employment situation, is putting away enough money to pay taxes, to have that not be a problem. And there was a big, long chunk in my life where I felt like, if I make a lot of money, that just makes me a target for the IRS. And it kind of did, in a stupid way. You attract what you focus most on. And I was terrified of that. And so I did. I got audited several times. Nothing bad ever came of it. In fact, conversely, I decided I am never going to get audited again. Because as an individual, at that point in my life, I was a target because I was an independent contractor who owned my own business, I worked for other agencies, I ran my own business, and during that year, because I found out I was pregnant with my second child, I decided to take an officialship because I thought I needed security. Anybody in that situation, give me a call before you change your lifestyle, thinking you'll have more security. For some people, that's great, but it wasn't for me. Anyway, IRS looks at my tax return and says nobody in 6 counties has a return that looks like yours. I believe that, because there's nobody stupid enough out there to be running 2 satellite offices at 2 different places in the state, realizing you can't do this forever, having 5 reporters, and some days having more than 5 jobs, some days having less than 5 jobs, Who do I keep on the books working so that they're there for me when our book explodes again? And when there's not enough work for me, I assign all the jobs, and then I get my butt in the car and I drive 4 hours to San Francisco to make sure that I can still make enough money for me when I'm running my business. Because there's a tipping point when you are running a lot of other reporters where you're not making money, you're breaking even for a very long time. And then it becomes a bigger animal, and that wasn't an animal I wanted to deal with anymore. And so then I took an officialship. So who, yeah, in 6 counties has an officialship, is an independent contractor, and running 2 offices at the same time? Nobody. But I decided I am never going through the pain and suffering of being audited ever again. Had I been a corporation, they would never have audited me. It would have been, this is what we made, this is what we spent, here's my taxes, leave me alone. And that's been my life since, oh, when was that? 1996, maybe 1992. When no, because I was pregnant with my daughter Veronica. Love you, baby. She was born in 1990, so it must have been the year before that, or the year after, right around 1990. Yeah, just, you got to just angle it to what suits you and your lifestyle and what you can live with. And then I remember telling myself, because in my family there was a culture of we're not upper middle class, let's just call it middle class, even though it's probably lower middle class, but we just don't make that kind of money. Other people make that kind of money, and money corrupts. Really, Grandma? My grandmother raised me, bless her heart, lived through the Depression, so she had a whole bunch of weird ideas about money, but they were weird because of what she had to go through during, 1929, 30, and into the early 30s, and, all kinds of things that gave her notions of what keeps you safe in life. So, change of lifestyle. Start visualizing what it's going to be like. Look at other people who have the lifestyle that you want, and just keep telling yourself, if they can do it, I can do it. if I can learn that damn machine, I can do anything. I can do anything. And I can figure out how to adjust to a new lifestyle prudently. I don't have to go crazy, because there were people in my school who got out and immediately started making, this is where I learned it, like making a ton of money, spending a ton of money, having a great lifestyle, new cars, new house, new wardrobe, vacations everywhere, didn't get a good accountant, didn't keep good receipts, didn't keep good books, mileage, cars, expenses, and wound up in a short period of time losing everything, going bankrupt. And I had some good friends back in the 90s who lost everything, a husband and wife, a reporting team, and life was going really fast for them. Business was growing exponentially, and they were not keeping good records. And the IRS came in. They had several bank accounts, and they'd deposit everything into here, and then there'd be bills due, and they didn't have enough over here, so they'd move it over there, and then they'd move it over somewhere else, and then they'd pay somebody, and then the IRS came in, and every time that money got moved, they considered it income because there was no paper trail. And so I keep really clean books. I've got my business account, I've got my personal account. Never the two shall meet. If I have a problem and I've got to move money from one account to the other, there's a whole page of explanation about why I did what I did and where it came from and when it gets paid back. Man, this wasn't the video I was planning on, but thank you, Brooke. It's important stuff because your brain needs to know. I'm a smart cookie. I can deal with this kind of stuff. And I finally changed my mindset about making money. And oh my God, the whole doors blew open on how much money I could make, because I finally said the words to myself, I am not going to fear making money anymore. I want to make so much money that paying taxes is a pleasure. And by golly, this year I'm paying some taxes. And I keep telling myself, I could have put that in a 401k, or I could have put that in an IRA, or I could have gone to that convention and spent that money and had a little bit of a vacation and still have written it off. It's just the way you look at things. So anyway, let me know what you guys need as far as what you think's holding you back, and let's do a couple of live group Zooms on those kind of things to get the most number of people some progress and some push to get out of here, get out in the field working. And then we'll just see how things go moving forward. And if anybody needs anything, please reach out. We've got all kinds of resources, but sometimes they're just kind of hard to find because there's so much out there. And keep supporting each other. I love that about this group. There is like, nobody gets left behind here. If you get left behind, it's because you've pulled away and not reached out and not said that, not been the brave one to say, I don't know what the hell I'm doing. Well, somebody please tell me how to get better results here, because I think I'm doing all the stuff I'm supposed to be doing, but maybe this is what I always, maybe I'm not the sharpest crayon in the bunch, so help me. Will somebody help me? And I got help along the way. I didn't recognize it for what it was at the time, but looking back, I learned all kinds of stuff from other reporters, other students, and that stuff, it is magic. Can't explain how it works, but it works. It's magic till somebody tells you how it works and why, and then you go, oh, this is a thing? Really? It's a thing? Like, I was just thinking about Kirsten McDury, whose last name is going to change in 13 days because she's getting married. We love you. But she came to me and she said, I don't think you can help me. I've got OCD and ADHD, and I looked at her and I said, well, oh my God, those are superpowers for court reporters. And she said, really? I thought, oh hell yeah. The things that hold other people back are what spur us on to greatness. We are amazing. The things that we can take and turn around into the most amazing life and profession, and to be able to craft it and create it and design it in just the way that fits who you are and what your strengths are and what your weaknesses are, and so that it all fits together to work for you. And that's what you want. And to have something you're really good at that nobody, not only can they not do it, they don't even understand what the hell you're doing. But yeah, you do feel elite, because you are. This is not easy stuff. If it was easy, everybody'd be doing it, and then it wouldn't pay as much. Think about it. Love you guys. Have a great day. I gotta go set up for my depot. I'll talk to you guys later. Anybody wants to ever sit in with me, let me know, because I love that. Oh, thank you, Bryn. Yeah, I should do a whole class on what did I learn the first year out and how I do things now. Happy to do that to any time to anybody who thinks they're going to be out in the next year, to just start laying that foundation of pattern of how do I keep track of stuff, and how do I make a decision on where I put my money and how I spend it, and what gets my attention and what doesn't. Love you guys. Have a great day. Talk to you later. Bye.